Started actually in the early 70s at Synergy Ranch. Kathleen Gray, my colleague and friend, was publishing with one of those mimeograph printing presses. This is here in Santa Fe, New Mexico at Synergy Ranch, set up as an intentional community since 1969. They had a theater company, and they also were publishing proceedings from a conference that they held on planet Earth in 1980. So there was a very inspired collection of thinkers. And then in 1984, I came around in London, and I became interested in the publishing company. I actually went on an adventure to Fort Worth, Texas, to help build the Caravan of Dreams, a performing arts center there. And Kathleen Gray, who was opening the Caravan of Dreams with Ornette Coleman and Brian Geisen and William Burroughs, and Kathleen had become the director, the artistic director of the Caravan of Dreams. She had her publishing company coming along with her. There were 2 volumes of plays that were in press and needed to be signed off on, and she was too busy. So she threw them into my hands and said, "Here, please get back to the editors and tell them." And I said, "Well, what needs to happen? I'm here. I'll do anything that's necessary." So I had a whole publishing company that was right there at the ready. And I went back to London, and the first book came to me from a conference that I went to with this famed Institute of Ecotechnics. John Michel was speaking on the solar system, great big ideas, but his book on Feng Shui that was out of print needed a publisher. And so there I was, 25, saying, "Hey, that sounds great. I'll do it." And I knew nothing. It was phenomenal. I was living in London there at the October Gallery, right at the edge of Bloomsbury, where I happened to be so lucky as to fall into an opportunity that led to a lifetime of adventures. Inspired by the ideas of Buckminster Fuller, John Dolphin Allen, the poet, playwright, adventurer, pioneer of biospheric science, inventor of Biosphere 2. He was an inspiration to many of the projects, the ecotechnic conferences that studied many different interdisciplinary ideas, the planet Earth, the different biomes around the planet that led up to building and designing a biosphere, our closed system, a model of the Earth's biosphere, so that we had an instrument to be able to study how our biosphere worked, and coming up with the idea of building a ship to go out and explore planet ocean called the Heraclitus that still continues to this day. So those ideas threaded through global base of projects that continue to apply biospheric ideas and to explore ideas of synergetics and intentional communities. His work is found in Johnny Dolphin, his pen name. He writes fiction as well as nonfiction, and he brought the Vernadskian ideas forward. Vernadsky is the seminal scientist from Russia. So he was responsible for bringing together, I think, not just disciplines in the ecological space, but also in the spiritual and the philosophical space. He's been a genuine source, a fountain, a wealth of ideas and understanding to the press. Well, Richard Evans Schultes was one of my first really extraordinary authors that I published. He is the contemporary founder of contemporary ethnobotany, and brought to me understanding about the value of the lore of the Amazon and how valuable, intangible knowledge is, and that it is also part of our mission to bring attention to and to try to help preserve, where possible, certainly to publish works that help to articulate the voices of Indigenous wisdom. We're publishing extraordinary new authors that we've encountered through the co-publishing arrangements that we have with Transform Press. The work of the Shulgins has been extraordinary to encounter, and the wealth of knowledge and experience that their books contain. Every book that I published has brought to me this awareness about how the culture and the ecology are so intricately linked together. And then my work at Biosphere 2 that brought this whole series of publications on the biosphere, that sort of broke open my head, in the sense that I realized there was not a lot of understanding about how all of these things really are connected, where our current educational system talks about, ecological design, ecological engineering. There's a lot of ecosystem studies, bioregional studies, but I still feel that the a structural approach to looking at the biosphere from a Vernadskian point of view, where you have the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the geosphere, the necrosphere, and how these different layers are all linked together. These things are hard to get across in today's culture, but these things are fundamental ideas. And I also got involved with publishing a book on the Anthropocene, which I feel is another very not well articulated yet, but there is a good movement of understanding how humanity, the Anthropocene era, we are now in the epoch where humanity has become the most dominant geological force on the planet. And we can recognize our impacts in the fossil records, and that is where we are today. It's regenerating the people and the planet. It's at the core at this moment in time in our history and everything that has come before. We are in a stage of real entropy in ideas, entropy in our ecology, entropy in solutions, and we need to regenerate. And our publications are designed to give solutions and to whole bodies of knowledge of total systems thinking. The biosphere is the sphere of life around the planet, and humans are part of this sphere in the sense that we are nature along with the rest of nature. And so it's understanding the complex relationships between nature and our consciousness, ourselves. I believe that we need to be regenerated and to learn new ways of thinking and being in order to protect the future of our biosphere.